What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for the first episode in our coverage of Renowned Explorers International Society. So I spent some time with this game last night, Giggity, and I ended up playing it for probably 3 or 4 hours, and I was really actually excited by the prospects of the game, and I'm glad to say that I'm not disappointed. I was going to do a weekly indie newcomer on this game, but ultimately I ended up playing it so much that I decided I was going to do a full series. The game is very short. It does not take a long time to beat this game. I doubt we'll get more than 6 or 7 episodes out of it, but the game is meant to be played like dozens and dozens and dozens of times. You're supposed to play it a lot of times. It's fire and forget, come back, play another game the next day. It's sort of like a tabletop board game roguelike, in which you take a group of adventurers, much like Curious Expedition, and your job is to be as famous as possible by the end of your 5 expeditions. If you fail, you can keep playing after that just for funsies, but if you win, glory will be yours, and you'll defeat, I don't know, he's got some name. There's some guy that really hates you, and you've got to beat him by being more famous than him, because that's how life works. When somebody spites you, you should always try to become more famous than them so you can rub it in your nose. Thus is the theme of Renowned Explorers International Society. It's got a lot of interesting things going on in this game, but what I very much like about it is that there's a lot of ways you can play the game. You won't really understand for right now, but I'm going to do my best to turn this into some kind of tutorial for the game as well, because the in-game tutorial is good, but you've got to slog your way through it, and I think a lot of people are just going to skip that because the in-game tutorial will probably take you a good 30-35 minutes to mash your way through, and I know that by the end of the tutorial I was like, oh my god, can we just play the game now? So I'm going to try and, go through all my decisions to talk about what you want to do in this game in order to win versus losing. So hopefully the people that come along that have the game and want to learn how to play it a little bit better, they won't learn it from me, but at least they'll get the basics from me. I don't play games very well. So let's go to a new game. We'll play some Renowned Explorers International Society. Happens to me every now and again. I have a game that I explicitly have planned for a weekly indie newcomer, just like a one-off video. And then I end up playing it too much, and I'm like, well, I should probably do a series because I do actually really like this game. And it doesn't seem like it's getting that much attention on Steam, so hopefully I can send a couple of individuals their way to peruse their wares. So we gotta select the game mode. Discovery mode, if you've ever played Mountain Blade Warband, the difference between Discovery mode and Adventure mode is essentially Discovery mode allows you to save and kind of like go back on your actions and you can scum things, versus Adventure mode is like the roguelike mode where you gotta live with your decisions. I would highly recommend playing Adventure mode. It'll teach you how to play the game a little bit better because you'll be forced to deal with the dire consequences of all the various decisions you'll be making throughout the course of the game. So I'm gonna go with Adventure mode just because I think it makes the game a little bit more interesting. However, if that makes you feel tense or it makes you feel like you're not having fun with the game, you can absolutely go through right here. You can retry all the challenges you want and essentially play the game at your own pace. This would be kind of like the storybook mode, whereas this would be the challenge mode where the game's meant to be played this way. But if you just want the story, this one works out fine. Okay, so every single party is made up of a captain and 2 crew members. Every crew member can be a captain, but you have to complete a campaign with them as a crew member before they become unlocked as a captain. Your captain has abilities. Oh, captain, my captain. Your captain will have abilities which will then affect the rest of your party and change the trajectory of the way that you want to play the game. So if you pay attention up in here, there are different colors for each group. You've got scientists, scouts, you've got fighters, and you've got speakers. What this means is that these guys focus on research and also kind of fixing things and general engineering and stuff like that. Scouts focus on living outdoors, survivalism, things of that nature. Fighters focus on actually helping you win combat as fast as possible. And speakers focus on dictating the flow of combat by speaking with your enemies. Combat in this game is very interesting, and it's essentially multiple turns of you deciding whether you want to use diplomacy or combat to defeat your enemies. And what's sort of interesting about it is that it can swap from turn to turn. On one turn you may fight your enemies, but on the next turn you may try diplomacy. And based on what enemies you're facing and what characters you have in your party, you will want to play the game very differently. And I like that about this game. It's very variable. And at the same time, it kind of plays out the same way each time, but it's variable enough to where you still want to keep playing because there's a lot of randomness to it as well. I'm going to say Victor Signac is a fantastic main character. I've played with him a couple times now. It looks like the game has Steam Sync too, because I unlocked Philippe last night, and I unlocked... I think I unlocked Kiwi last night as a captain. Actually, Kiwi is one of my favorite characters. She's really good. And so, it says Kiwi here, but it says Kiri right there, so I think she's really named that way. She ran out of places to run on her home island. She built her own boat and went to explore the world. She's actually quite fantastic. She's a rhetorician scout. She has a high speech and a decent speech defense. So in combat, a speech is the exact same as attacking somebody. The only difference is that you're trying to convince them to leave you alone. It's Don't worry about it. Speech defense, think of it as magic and melee. So if it said attack and attack defense, that would be melee, and speech defense are kind of like magic, I guess. Just think about it that way. She can annoy opponents. She has lots of devious abilities. Combat is broken up into 3 different types. Devious, which is cunning, friendly, and also aggressive, I think are the 3 types. And she comes with the skill Survivalist 2, which means that occasionally you'll get a test on the world map when you're exploring or going through some kind of dungeon or adventure. It'll say Survivalist 1 or Survivalist 2 down underneath, and if nobody has that skill, it'll be grayed out. You can't pick it, but if somebody does have that skill, it'll allow you to bypass the challenge instantaneously just based on her skill. So there it is. The other things that we can have around, actually, maybe I should go with people I haven't played with so far. I should probably do that to see who I can unlock. I'm going to go with, actually, what does she do? Anna Proskurakova. Anna's a bright young scientist who loves the scary power of electricity more than anything. Yeah, let's go with her. I like a raven-haired maiden. Let's go with her right there. She sounds good. She's got Naturalist 2. She's a balanced scientist with very high speech defense and no real weaknesses. Okay, so she's an average character. She's capable of doing great damage in an area. She does best in an aggressive or devious team. Anna goes well with most crew members and can develop either offensively or defensively. They level up as you play the game, by the way, and they've got little... Each character has their own talent tree. It's only like 8 abilities that you get to choose from, but actually it's enough because each playthrough with 3 characters will give you 24 things to pick between as they level up, and it actually turns out to be pretty interesting. So believe me, you're going to notice as the game unfolds, it's actually fairly complicated by comparison to what you think when you first sit down with it. I think I would like to bring... Yvonne. Oh, we can take anybody, so we can decide who we want here. I do like that it's got a multinational cast as well, regardless of where you're from on the planet. There's pretty much like somebody here from your nation. If you live, even like some smaller nations are represented. They got all the big nations represented, and they also have people. Dolores Garcia. Well, I can never turn down a luchador, so I think I'm going to go with her, Dolores Garcia. Dolores won many a tournament, but kept her identity hidden behind a mask. She now travels the world in search of new things to punch. Hey, you know what? You got to find motivation in life, whatever gets you through the morning, because that's where I'm at right now. It's so early in the morning right now, and I'm just like, ooh. I don't know, my eyes, you know that feeling you get where your eyes feel hella burny because you just woke up, like your eyes just don't want to stay open, and they feel like they're... You know, when you get salt water in your eyes, that it's like that, but it's like, I don't know. It's morning right now, and I'm having a very, very hard time pushing myself forward. Dolores is a defensive fighter with great armor and decent offenses. When either hitting or shouting, she can keep enemies busy and take their hits. Dolores does well in most aggressive and devious crews, so she's recommended to go with Anna or Hatis. Who's Hatis? If we have Anna or Hatis in here, oh, there's Hatis right there. She's a scout. Yeah, well, I've never taken a speaker, though. If there's a speaker who focuses on devious and aggressive crews, there we go. It looks like Charles Templeton is actually our guy. He's 40 years old. He's from the UK, got the Union Jack over there. An ex-sailor and an ex-butler from Manchester who wants to rub elbows with the Queen. Knows how to throw a punch and an insult. Charles is a defensive speaker with good defenses and overall offense. Charles can force enemies to attack him with a group insult. Charles does especially well in devious crews, but he is a balanced addition to most teams. So what are his skills? He has Survivalist, though. Oh, we have Naturalist. Never mind. I was still thinking we got Quick Thinker and Athlete over there. Okay. You want to make sure that they don't actually have the same skills because they don't stack. You want to make sure everybody has a different tab down and in here. That seems like a pretty good team. I think... Right here, this indicates how good we are at certain things, and so we are a very aggressive crew. We're a pretty devious/cunning crew, but we're not very friendly. So I don't think we'll be talking anybody into being our friend during this thing, but we will be pretty good at blacking their eyes and also batting their ears. We'll give them a cauliflower ear. So let's go and... Actually, can we start our adventure right now? Oh, you can actually open up their entire thing over here if you wanted to. Okay. Very, very cool. Alright, we got all kinds of fun stuff going on. Let's jump into the game because there's a lot of stuff to explain here. Like, this game is actually fairly dense with regards to, like, subject matter and content, things that I need to explain. I think I should be able to get the tutorial done, or at least teach a basic player how to play by the end of, like, the first episode, but we got to get going in order to do that. So let's start our adventure. Alright, this is it. You just got your Renowned Explorers International Society membership. Anna wants to make a big entrance and goes for an elusive treasure, a Viking ship. Rumors are that a boat belonging to the famous explorer Leif Erikson is somewhere on this forgotten island. Okay, it's time for adventure. I don't really need the tutorial. I'm good to go. So welcome to the world map. Every expedition will take place on a map just like this one. Everyone is a little bit nervous. The first expedition is crucial for the crew's confidence. The crew starts out with low resolve. If the crew ever reaches 0 resolve, they lose its will to explore and your adventures are over. However, every expedition you complete will give you more resolve. Resolve is up here at the top of the screen. You lose resolve by failing challenges and by losing characters in combat. They don't die permanently. They'll be back the next time you go into combat, but anytime somebody gets knocked out in combat, you lose resolve as well. And so you really want to avoid combat with heavy losses. Luckily, most of the enemies you're going to fight in this game are kind of like grist-for-the-mill, generic soldiers with very few abilities. Occasionally, you'll fight bosses and like legendary guys like that, but most of the people you're just going to punch your way through. You can fight like 30 of them for your 3 guys because your guys are special and they have names and cool faces and don't wear red shirts except for Dolores, but you know, that's Dolores. So this is what the world map looks like. Up at the top of the screen, you've got your supplies. You see this little number right here? That means that traveling this distance costs that many supplies. When you run out of supplies, bad things happen and you lose renown, and so it's in your best interest to finish the expedition before you run out of supplies. So you've got a little bit of a gambling consequence here where you can push it a little bit further if you run out of food to get more money or more treasure or more fame or more research or whatever, but you are risking the expedition. Top left-hand corner of the screen, you've got gold, you've got status, you've got research, and you've got insight. Insight is kind of meh. I find insight to be a little bit lackluster, but the other ones, research allows you to, you know the civics in Civ 5, how you can go through and you can unlock things like, I don't know, democracy, or maybe you can unlock things like classic, I don't know, like cynicism and stuff like that. You can unlock all those things on the little tree. Research does the exact same thing. It's almost identical to Civ. When you get enough research, you can unlock things that make you better at fighting or talking or, you know, whatever you want to be able to do. They can also exacerbate the effects of the positive things you find around, so you can get things that increase the amount of gold you find. Whenever you find gold, you can focus on specific encounters. These little icons over here all mean things. Status, I think you use that in order to attract followers and an entourage, and so you can hire journalists, you can hire book writers and things like that to make you more famous in between your adventures in order to become more famous by the end of the game and win. Here's the research thing right here, writing research papers, and then you've got your crew and inventory. They've each got their own little stats, everything from grit to armor to speech defense to speech power, attack power, and movement. They've got equipment, limited equipment. You're limited to, I think, a weapon, a trinket, and an armor based on your class. She's got a leather vest. She's got exploring for dummies, and so as you can see, you can equip them with whatever you want. You also use status to unlock new gear when you go to the black market in Russia. And so let's be on our way. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get as much gold and as much stuff as possible. So the more icons that are arrayed around each of these little pips right here, the more you want to go to it. You want to prioritize. So this one right here has a status spot, this one right here has a gold spot, and it has an encounter. Let's do it. Off we go. Some cuddly sheep are fond of the crew and keep surrounding you. It makes it hard to move and you have to do something. We can engage, or Dolores can think fast and make a distraction. It starts a rank 1 fight. I think I'm going to let Dolores think fast and fix the problem for me. Dolores hops over the sheep, runs a little while, and turns around. Then Dolores imitates the sound of a hay bale. What is that? You're like, what's the sound of a hay bale? It's like wind blowing through straw. How do you even emulate that? Either way, I assume that there's a voice acting coach or a voice acting agency somewhere that wants her to join up. The sheep come rushing towards Dolores thinking they'll find food. What a distraction. In the meantime, Dolores and the crew get away. The sheep look much less entertained. They looked really stoked to see us until that happened, and now they're just like, yeah, it's funny to trick the sheep, huh? Alright, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when I get you with these horns, son. Sheep are hardcore like that. My mom had a pet sheep for a while. Well, it was like a pet goat or something. I don't know. It was weird. It was an asshole, though. The goat was always hitting people. It'd, like, run up and it'd be like, "Rah!" and it'd take you out at the shins, and you're just like, oh, God, I've been headbutted. And then the goat would look really happy about itself while it walked around the yard. It was a dick. I don't know. Forget that goat. I hate him. So what we got right there, you may have noticed we got 4 encounter tokens. You collect these right here. Think of it as a board game, and these are cards that you flip over with bonuses on them when you get to the end of each adventure. And so you want to stack a lot of these. So for example, for encounter tokens, it says that it gives us a little bit of renown, which is not good because we want a lot of bit of renown because that's how you win the game. But it gives you a bunch of gold and a bunch of status. So apparently evading sheep is a really big deal in the Explorers Society, and they will actually pay you to avoid sheep. So there it is. I assume that it has to do with someone's proclivities. with loving the sheep a bit too much in the background, and they were like, listen, we will pay you just to avoid sheep. Just don't go near them anymore. We can't deal with this bad PR. We can get something odd here. Hopefully it's not a disease. You enter a shop that sells supplies for some work. However, the guy seems to be one shady shopkeeper. So he will give us 4 supplies for 7 resolve. Oh my god, that's a ludicrous price. These prices are outrageous. Negotiate for better terms. Someone needs to negotiate for better terms. This is simply unacceptable. This guy seems to like a tough match, and the diplomatic struggle will give someone, the diplomat, the negotiations perk. Who will go and negotiate? Well, I think that our speaker was Charles, and so let's give him the negotiations perk. The shady shopkeeper gave into your diplomatic negotiations. Now you can get supplies at a normal price. I don't really need supplies right now, though. I mean, we're in pretty good shape. We still have 5 turns left, and we don't really have that much resolve. I don't think we're going to get wiped out on our first expedition, considering this is the tutorial. This game isn't the kind of game that would kill you in the tutorial. I'm looking at you, Darkest Dungeon. But anyways, we'll leave the shop, and I think I'll leave it alone for right now. We're only going to get half of the amount for the price that we're paying, and that puts us dangerously close to losing. I will go with, we can step into this spot right here, and that'll give us status and gold and a naturalist challenge. We do have an athlete with us, and I think we also have a, well, do I have anybody else? Yes, we have a naturalist and we have an athlete with us. So either way, we should be able to clear this pretty easily. You encounter a group of Highlanders sweating and breathing heavily. One of them, who the others call Coach, speaks. Hey there, we're the local rugby team and are trying to increase our stamina by jogging. We're just about to go do some tackle drills. Why don't you join us and show us what you've got? And so over here we can choose a party member to hang out and help with it. Or you can take the easy way out if you don't want to gamble and you'll guarantee yourself a reward. But if you go in on it with each of these characters, you'll end up with more tokens. So for example, we'll get a couple of collect cards, which are the exact same thing as these over here, except they will give you a different array of stats and resources, and also a campaign card, which gives you quite a bit of renown. She's got an 80% chance, so that's pretty good. We could still fail it, but we'll try. I mean, the fail criteria means that just like nothing happens, we just lose out on the treasure, so that seems alright to me. Spin the wheel, happy man. No! Whew! Man, got me all nervous right there. Luckily, she got to pump that arm and show that muscle. Dolores tackles the rugby players as if they weren't there. Eventually, even 3 of them try to tackle her at once, but Dolores keeps standing strong. After the training is over, the coach shows great appreciation. That was the best performance I've ever seen. This will go down in history as the best training ever. Too bad we can't add you to our team. Great. And so we ended up with a couple of collect tokens right there. This is looking like it's going to turn out to be a really... Ooh, there's a treasure over here, though. You really, really, really want treasures. Treasures are a big deal in this game because they give you a buku grip of renown, and so going after treasures tends to be the easiest way to win the game. If you focus heavily on treasures, I can almost promise you your adventures are going to be fruitful, so let's focus on treasures for right now. You find something peculiar, a note scribbled on a wooden slab. Anna picks it up to take a closer look. The meaning seems to be very cryptic. You don't really understand the writing. You're investigating the slab when a group of mean locals pass by. Does that mean that they're average, or does that mean that they're just generally... I'm going to guess that they have distemper right now. Because they're distemperate or untemperate or whatever. I don't know words. But it looks like they're pretty unhappy, so I'm going to assume that that doesn't mean that they're average locals. What are you doing on our island? You must be here to steal our puffins. What a logical extrapolation. Anytime I'm in any neighborhood, that's what people are always like. Given the relative lack of puffins in this area, I bet you're here to steal my puffins. Yup, you caught me. I'm here to steal your puffins. They're annoying, but their local knowledge might be useful in deciphering that cryptic slab. We can defend ourselves. Yeah, let's do some combat because you haven't seen it today. And so off we go to combat. What does she have? It like a Tesla? Oh, they've got sledgehammers. So, this is what you want to pay attention to at the outset of any fight. You can resolve the fight in a number of ways, and by using abilities that are aggressive, devious, or friendly, you can change the color of the combat. So up at the top of the screen there will be this big bar right here. This will change colors, and if it ends while blue, we get a bonus encounter. So we should try to finish this by being devious. The combat is turn-based. Your entire team gets to go, then their entire team gets to go. These yellow spaces mean that you heal throughout the combat. There's a couple things you want to know. This is your overall health. I think they call it your spirit, though. And if people use cunning or meanness or aggressiveness or their happiness with you, you lose spirit. And so if they use happy abilities on you or bad abilities, it also shifts this meter down here at the bottom. If it's on the left-hand side, you have a bad temper. If it's on the right-hand side, it means you're happy. And this also has various effects on abilities. A lot of these right here, for example, the reason you would want to pay attention to this meter on each combatant is if you look at Terrify right here, which is, I think, Anna's ability. Extra effects down there. Target becomes terrified if its mood is negative, giving it minus 25% attack, which means that if you can use Terrify and switch their mood from neutral to negative or from positive to negative, they will get that extra effect. In addition, if you use like this one right here, this is a happiness ability. It's friendly, and so you try to excite your opponent, which, I mean, you could try and excite me, although that seems vaguely sexual. They might never leave if you do that. They become excited, so if this takes them up to positive, it'll make them better at fighting me. In general, though, what you want to do is you want to use positive abilities on your own characters, and so just keep that in mind. Let's take Dolores over here by right-clicking. She's lost her health regeneration, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. We can use Cunning to get this done, which is what I think I'll do because I'd like to get the encounter token because that'll help us stack up a little bit more renown on the front end of the game. Let's go ahead and get this guy with a devious attack. And so there it is. She is threatened with a slitting of the throat, followed by a knockout. And they're just like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. And so now he's terrified, and he's got that debuff on him. And so you see his mood shifted over because we used a negative ability on him. He lost HP, and then since it put him in a negative mood, he now has minus 25% attack power. We've shifted the mood into, devious now, which means that friendly abilities get plus 25% power. Now you have to be careful about using these too much because each time you use an ability, it'll fill in one of these pips on the side right here, and that's how long you have until the mood shifts again. And there are lots of different like hybrid modes of everything here. In addition, on this side, each mood is good versus a different mood in a rock paper scissors type deal. And so you've got devious is good against aggressive, is good against friendly, is good against devious. And so just keep that in mind as well. Some enemies definitely favor certain types of attacks, and you'll get a lot more mileage out of using certain abilities against them. And in fact, sometimes they'll play you against yourself where the enemy will be weak to a certain thing, but if you play that thing that they're weak to, you won't get as many rewards for winning. So watch out for that. I think I'm going to get up in here with Charles. I love how he walks all dignified. He keeps his hand at his chest like a manly man who enjoys bourbon and scotch and punching. Let's see here. We got Terrify. We could take him out right there with Terrify, or we could just punch him. Weirdly enough, punching this guy makes his mood better. Who knew? Who knew? There we go. And so he has boxed the enemy's ears, and he will now fall and no longer be a problem for us. We've blocked off one side of the battlefield here. Is she ranged? Some attacks are ranged, and you'll know they're ranged because they'll put a little ring around you with the actual range itself. I'm going to bring her over here. I don't know if that's just like a giant taser or what that's supposed to be, but it seems like it's going to be pretty awesome. It looks like actually a friendly attack would do the best for her, but I don't want to give that guy a bonus to speech. So I'm going to go with devious so that he drops into the negative and he gets a debuff. We're telling him we're going to shock him into a skeleton and that he should back away. And so we'll see if we can eliminate him from the combat. Now that we've used everybody's turn, you can move and attack, but you cannot attack and move, so keep that in mind. It's the enemy's turn, more than likely to hit us with a mallet. I am not looking forward to this. No, that's not a male duck. It's a big hammer. Anyways, if they're hitting me with a mallard, I'd be like, well, they're kind of squishy. And honestly, they're made out of the stuff that we stuff pillows with, so I'm not that concerned about this. Well, this is a nasty duck, because ducks are known for their weird sexual proclivities. So anyways, if he swings it at you, it like latches onto your head and is like, ah, duck mating mode. You'd be like, no, mallard, no! Leave me alone. I'm going to go ahead and destroy this enemy using my shocky spell right there. And so the villager is absolutely terrified and runs from the battlefield. On this side, I think I'm going to focus on... Can I get away with punching? Yeah, let's punch somebody. I want to punch. There it is. Right in the solar plexus. Like, watch the air fly out of you. Watch the... I don't want to do that too many times, though, because it'll shift over to aggressive, and then we won't get anything. So I'm going to use Terrify to get him out of my hair. I guess I could say I want to use Terrify to get him out of this hair of mine. If I really wanted it to rhyme, if I was pushing it. If I was pushing it real good. You broke your opponent's minds. And so we got extra encounter tokens, which means that those give us gold, status, and renown at the end as well. Once they figure that you're simply better, they respect you and stop being so annoying. Sorry we were such tools just now. Good thing that you knocked some sense into us. We're just very protective of our puffins. Please, allow us to help you with that cryptic slab. Hooray, our slab will be decoded. You look at the cryptic slab together. The men you just won over share their knowledge of local dialects until you decipher the text. Anna thinks it reads that hidden somewhere far away from here there is probably, well, we can take an old bracelet, a Viking brooch, we can go a brooch, a very special amulet, or a peculiar gemstone. Let's go with the Viking brooch. That sounds pretty cool. Oh, and if we go up to there now, X marks the spot. Oh, somebody leveled already. Now that you know where to look, all that remains is to go there. Hooray! Dolores leveled up. So we have an option here. We can give her Athlete Tenacious. That will make her a better melee combatant. It'll raise her attack power by 2 and her defense by 1. Or we can upgrade her Quick Thinker to Unpredictable, which will essentially give her more grit. Grit is all-around evasion. It makes it so that you're dodgy versus everything. If you can get like plus 30 to grit from your gear, it's actually a big deal because grit all encompasses all the other stats, and so it makes you really, really good at not getting hit. It also increases your HP, I think, maybe? I don't know about that one, though. I'll probably keep her as a melee combatant. In this game, you're best off if you try to specialize people and just like keep them in one direction. So let's go ahead and specialize. I'm not saying you can't make jacks of all trades. Like, go ahead, play around with stuff and have a good time. Make concept characters, have fun. But I tend to be the kind of person who very much specialize. Like, if you're a fighter, I specialize you as a fighter, so I know exactly what I can use you for. She also got a new ability called Primal Roar, which is devious. And it looks like it's an AoE ability, maybe? It does the same thing that every other terrifying attack does, but it also increases your speech by 20% per surrounding enemy that it hits. Okay, so you want to be flanked when you use it in the middle of everybody. And then if she's happy or enraged, it also gives her additional, so this it turns her into a wrecking ball. That's all you need to know, is like status effects make this a lot worse. Let's go ahead and jump up in here. A lot better for us and a lot worse for our foes. This is the place where the cryptic slab was pointing towards. A treasure must be nearby. The crew starts looking until Anna finds a small box. She opens it and finds... Ooh, a Nordic bracelet. 6 campaign with 2 collect. Okay, and so those are, once again, just cards that you flip over at the end of the adventure to get yourself additional treasures. So 2 collect cards and 2 campaign cards, along with the Nordic bracelet, which goes into our treasure list over there. That's a good find and a fine treasure to take home. With this mysterious treasure collected, your crew can continue looking for the longboat without the feeling that they've missed something. Hooray! Well, we've only got 2 turns left, so we can resupply right here. I think that's probably a good plan. Normally you wouldn't be so excited about this, but you found an abandoned farm. The fields are overgrown with vegetables and even some fruit trees. Take some time and restock your supplies. So we got 3 supplies right there, which means we should be able to go around the horn and keep this 1, 2, 3. I gotta decide if I want a wits challenge over here or if I just want to go for status. Let's go for that one. Sometimes your crew finds opportunities to promote itself shamelessly in the eye of the locals to gain status. However, say something offensive or make a wrong move and nobody will like you. Whose turn is it for social duties? We could have Charles boast about our adventures, but our best chance is only 42%. I think I'm just going to stick with the 1 campaign right here because these are all less than 50-50 splits. So I'm going to go ahead and not risk it. Everyone is polite and modest. The locals took notice of you, earning you some status. They also noticed that you were boring for adventurers. Alright, well I'll take that over failing and getting nothing, so... Take some status right here. Your crew stops at an open field. Delicious rare mushrooms are growing here in small troops. These delicacies will go down great at parties or as a gift to other renowned explorers. So we got 2 campaign cards from that. That's pretty cool. We only have 1 supply left, so it's in our best interest to go over here to the Viking ship and finish our adventures. But for right now, my name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me here at the Nerdcastle for the first episode of Renowned Explorers. I will see you all in the next episode. I think I'm just going to do a short series on this one. It is a fun little game, and I wanted to show it off and give it a little bit of publicity because I like it when creative, interesting little games like this get made. So I will see you all next time. Hi-do, everybody.